Wow. Okay. I actually remember I had to, they asked me to, they asked to scan my, like underneath my feet for a reference when I was at Kojima Production. Scan your feet as well.
The Ohio Rizzler, a rogue Sigma operative, has gone off.
You're pretty good.
Testing, testing. Do I sound okay? Does my voice sound okay?
Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
Video games.
Game-breaking perma glitches that will never be patched no matter how loud you scream. I mean Battlefield 4.
It's like what they say. It's not till you quit
Video games.
you realize who your real friends are.
Happy Hot Dog Man is awesome.
One detail attracted my attention.
Not a new mic, just a different one. I have two different streaming stations set up now between console games and PC games.
You can crack them that way. And we've all done this. But no matter how you crack them, you always end up picking out crack shells. Not anymore. Introducing Easy Cracker.
Wait, how different does it sound? Do I sound deeper or lighter?
Only in the fall when there is plenty of rain. It could be that he puts them in some sort of well or tank that is open to the skies and that fills up with rainwater. The more it rains, the less time the victim has to live.
Instructional video today, and this is one that a lot of people have asked about, and that is how to drive a manual transmission car. But right before I...
Barclay, Barry, Bert.
I got a giant boner! Well, slap that damn thing down! I can't! I gotta keep this thing under control! I can't!
Dr. Andy, is there such thing as insanity among penguins?
Well, I've never seen a penguin bashing its head against a rock. They do get disoriented. They end up in places they shouldn't be, a long way from the ocean.
These penguins are all heading to the open water to the right. But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode, edition, installment, another exciting entry in the Metal Gear Monday intellectual property franchise. Am I on camera? Oh yeah, I'm looking pretty good. The mic is not directly...
Wow.
Check, hello! I'm so sorry, I scooted my mic less than an inch in a counterclockwise direction so that it would more closely point at me. The mic is not miking, yes. Alright. I think we got it, just as you touched it. Seems to be some static when the mic doesn't pick up anything. Guess where that static would be coming from? It's none other than Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. And this is a static noise that I hold near and dear to my heart. But, the entire game as a package, I don't quite know if I have it in the same place. Let's see how we do on normal mode. I've been told that it's very easy, but after what happened with Metal Gear Solid 4, I think I am comfortable setting it to normal instead of bumping it up to hard, even if it's not very challenging or interesting. I feel like there might be some interesting points to observe when making that. I feel like that's more valuable than losing early in the game, only an hour or two into the run. And Eddie wants some attention too. Versus being bored for maybe a couple hours into the run. Because I'd like to see if I can at least last 3 or so hours here. Maybe 4 hours. I'd like the stream to go on for 4 hours or so, but we might not make it that whole way. Is it worth the time to correct the capitalization? Okay, how do we capitalize? Select. I am technically using, no? I am technically using a PlayStation 4 controller. I need to not think about that right now, because I can't talk and do this at the same time. This is very complicated. Okay, it's L2 and R2. There we go. Got it. Nope. Alright, G inputted. Keyboard figured out. Lesson learned. We're good now. And boppity boop. Shazam. We're the George man. Okay. If you fail early, you can play chess. Oh man, I hope that like putting a cup on and off the table won't make the mic get pulled out of connection. Shooter type, action type, hunter type. Oh my god. Okay, so I guess shooter type, but that's funny because that's not exactly what you would call a Metal Gear game. MPO portable ops would be action type. But right here we have the beginning of the end. This configuration is similar to that of the Monster Hunter Freedom series. Well... Oh good, at least I can take a look at these things. Auto-aim switch, that's a relic from a bygone era, alright. Crouch/lie, I know we can't crawl. How does the lying work? Attack is square, usually is. Reload is different in most of these games. Action button's the same as usual. Select weapon, select item are the same as usual. Okay, we'll do that one. Oops, I didn't look at the other options. Let's go back. I think it's gonna begin anyway. Okay, good. We didn't have a difficulty, did we? I really don't like that font that they're using. Looks too close to the bunny hop font. Okay, shooter type. Not the default. That's 2 ticks in. Wow. Weapon equip, unequip, or 2 slot swap. Select. It depends on in all the previous games, it depended on how unequipping weapons would give you more melee/CQC options, but I don't actually think that's the case here, so I don't know. We'll see how we like this default and then switch to later. Oh, it's definitely got to be auto-aim switch. Okay, now I'm seeing the second biggest ingredient of the beginning of the end, and that is this dependency on co-op. Especially when we get to the bosses, that's going to be quite the bugbear to talk about. Testing. Is my voice still coming through? I've put a cup, and now I'm about to put a can on and off the table, and I'm wondering if that's jiggling the mic cable out of place. Okay, that was 2 games ago. Right, we're like zigzagging in continuities now as the series goes on for a while. Because after this game we're doing Metal Gear Rising, so we're back in the cyberpunk robo future. And now we're back in the Cold War retro future. Something about the description doesn't... or the content of the text doesn't fit the, like, class, the timeless, stately Roman dignity of the font choice they're picking here. Yeah, like, seeing the words Snake and Uncle Sam and miniature nuclear warhead in this ever so slightly shaded gray with a gradient effect Roman font. I don't know if it's Times New Roman. It may very well be, but I feel like from 2011 onwards, a lot of games started making very strange typography choices that... Am I the only person who complains about that stuff? Let me know in the comments section. Like, comment, and subscribe specifically to let me know if anyone else has complained about the usage of Times New Roman in the intro of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. This font looks way more the game style, the way I remember how things are gonna go. Yeah, this is cheesy 80s action movie font. And that's the character that Snake is, like, reluctantly stuck in over his life. Right, imagine if RoboCop had its first title sequence in that font, in Times New Roman, like an ancient gravestone stele in Europe, or the Ten Commandments on the courthouse. The kind of font you use for that stuff is not exactly the kind that makes you think of cheesy 80s action movie tropes. Unless you're watching 90s Michael Bay action movies.
Hey, boss! Wanna go around?
That intro was sick compared to what's about to happen.
Look alive, ladies! The boss is... Show 'em how it's done, boss! Your first priority in enemy territory is knowing your surroundings.
Isn't there some, like, samurai movie that this is a big, blatant reference to?
You must first master moving your line of sight.
Like, something about this image doesn't seem very coherent. Like, this is not the kind of suit someone would wear in the rain, for fear of, I don't know, choking to death on the mask.
Good! Look down!
I did it.
You should be familiar with the up and down control.
I feel like there's a certain lack of attention to detail in the series from MGS4 onwards that... No, that's not true. I feel like there's a lack of attention to detail in Peace Walker and Portable Ops that...
Alright!
Oh, God, did I do it? Was I too busy talking?
Look up! Good! Look down! Good! You should be familiar with the up and down controls now. Press the action button if you're ready to move on.
Action button.
Okay.
Okay.
Next we'll check your left and right. Look right.
Look right.
Look left. Good.
It's like I'm really one of the mindless marine robots in Metal Gear Solid 2's Tanker chapter.
Ready to move on. Okay.
Okay.
You can change the controls anytime in options.
Okay.
Go with the method that works best for you.
Okay.
Next I'll explain how to change stances.
I think your animation skipped.
Stand there like an idiot in front of an enemy. You might as well kill yourself now. At times, you will need
Jeez.
to avoid detection. You have 3 stances: stand, crouch, and lying down.
Oh, but we just can't crawl, that's the
Use
thing.
the crouch button. Tap the crouch button to
I have to get used to that, but
you can move
like the crouch walking mod in Metal Gear Solid 3, I wonder if there'll ever be a crawling mod for Peace Walker, and if it will turn out to not actually change the game as much as I thought.
You cannot move while lying down. Is that?
You can't do it. He said so. Well, that settles it.
Good. Next, we'll work on your movement. Use the left stick to move around. Tilt it a little to walk slowly. Tilt farther to run. Decide which to use based on your situation. Remember.
Also, remember that this game is rated T by the ESRB in the States. I wonder if there's anything in Japan that would cause a similar discrepancy, but the mainline series is an M-rated game for teenagers and young adults, and Peace Walker in particular, very jarring going from this to Ground Zeroes particularly, is a real odd sheep out of the series because it's aimed at like kids who it was competing for the Monster Hunter audience.
That's it! Next, I will explain how to attack without gunfire. You may run into an enemy unexpectedly. You may not have a weapon on you, or you may be out of ammo. You'll still need an effective attack strategy. One well-placed strike and the enemy won't know.
I remember people at the time saying that Peace Walker had a really good story by Metal Gear standards, but I don't remember feeling like that. And this kind of shit happening in the first few minutes when the game's making its first impressions is not boding well for such a
that is incorrect
judgment. Yeah, I'm sorry, I already know. I'm doing it, like, better.
Impressive, boss! Next, we're gonna
Oh, look how you take a step forward when you punch.
Hitting someone with the stun rod will shock them with 1.5 million bolts. Anyone on the receiving
end. It's the same animation he's repeated several times now. I guess that's less noticeable on a smaller screen. So another thing going on is that I've never played Peace Walker correctly. It's a time and a place. You had to be there, you had to be the right age, and you had to have a very specific setup of hardware and software going on that made it... What?
Fine work!
Oh yeah, this is the one with the camera. The, like, John Carpenter stalker movie, slasher movie, stalker serial killer camera.
There are various CQC techniques.
Okay, right, so the first time I played Peace Walker was on the Xbox 360 HD collection, and whatever praise I can give that kind of experience of playing it is damning praise, because it's not meant to be played in that environment at all, and you can already tell from this tutorial. This guy's animations repeating over and over again is something that would not strike you as weird if you look away from the screen more often. That kind of repetition doesn't strike you as jarring on a portable environment. And that's one of the reasons why I like playing real-time strategy, turn-based strategy games in bed. Because if you're rolling around in bed and have like a book or a doom scroll on your phone going or something, there's something kind of extra stimulating about the extra bit of strategic thought that moving your eyeballs to and from the screen goes. But that's very incompatible with how Metal Gear is traditionally played, which is like the cinematic, theatrical experience. Peace Walker is not meant to be played like that. It's not even meant to be played the way I am playing it right now. Maybe being halfway concentrated and having some small talk at the same time is a better way, because if you are...
now we will throw your opponent.
What was the triangle, though?
To throw an enemy to
oh, he's repeating the animation again. This is like the 8th time we've seen it.
Restrain your opponent.
The camera is even jiggling in the same way every time he does that.
I'm ready, boss.
But yeah, like if you're sitting down with a beer and popcorn and you're
Fine work, boss.
I did it. and you've cleared the schedule out to have a cinematic narrative adventure, with the Metal Gear Solid, the franchise known for that sort of thing, this is jarring. It was really rough playing this for the first time, and now I'm only having to... This will be the second time, and I'm just coming in through it with a better idea of who, what, and where, and when it was made for. You could say that Metal Gear Solid 1 has aged. Throw towards enemies. Okay. Oopsie whoopsie. There we go.
Fine work, boss! Again!
You can say that Metal Gear Solid 1 has aged one of the best aging games of all time. The insistence on some 90s arcade action tropes worked against its favor for however many years it took for that stuff to become retroactively cute and adorable and get phased out. Same deal with how they were able to exploit such powerful vocal performances in a time before higher wages for voice actors and unionization efforts started throwing wrenches into that as a novelty. Peace Walker, on the other hand, I feel... Peace Walker, I feel, on the other hand, is...
Press the attack button when the icon appears!
Hang on. Okay, I'll try this.
Boss, press the
I did it
attack button
wrong.
when the icon appears!
Okay, I'll grab, and I'll throw them towards the bad guys.
Boss, press the attack button when the icon appears!
He said next, and then he grabs them and then throws them.
Boss, press the attack button when the icon appears! Fine work, boss!
I did it! I'm not entirely sure what was different about the successful run versus all the failures. I guess they didn't want you to hit multiples. Right, okay, that was my problem. I was being too cool.
Fantastic!
They didn't want you to slam enemies into other enemies. That would be too cool.
That's it for today! Thank you, boss!
You were the guy who did the work. Oh, sorry, baby. Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
Snake!
So the lack of facial expression going on is something that would be much less noticeable on a smaller screen as well. I don't think I have a way of emulating Peace Walker on any of my portable handhelds, though. Maybe for those who have a Steam Link, you'll be able to get a way better experience with this game than what I've been getting. Because if you're rolling around in bed with this on headphones, that would kick ass, actually. That would kick absolute ass. But having to crone your neck at this from the couch when there's not that much motion on the screen to be tracking with your face on it is...
Call me Snake.
Oh, sorry, Vic Boss.
Is not quite as impressive as a regular ordinary Metal Gear Solid cutscene from all the other games.
But in Revolution, doesn't one triumph or die?
We don't.
That sounds like a real quote. Oh, another thing that's really weird about the time and place and person and setting of Peace Walker is that it was also designed to be a political crash course on non-Western political theories, post-World War II political theories from the Japanese perspective for Japanese kids that Kojima felt like were getting left behind by the state of the education system and the pop culture industry at the time. Like he's going to include a lot of really saccharine John Paul Sartre quotes. There's hero worship for Che Guevara going on, and as an American, it's not necessarily like offensive or anything so much as it's just weird.
You see,
but that's cool. That's the cool part about Peace Walker.
They're not ours.
But it does feel weird as an American imagining that stuff getting included in a product for kids. That's what I want to say is weird as an American, is the Metal Gear that's more specifically aimed for a younger audience that are definitely still children at the time they are intended to go through this. It's not going to hit you as hard if you're not a kid, and if it's probably not your first Metal Gear game too, because it's going to control so differently and have such a different style that I feel like having the sequel baggage in your head might make your experience worse than if you're a kid and you're going into it fresh. I should probably shut up because there is some good atmosphere and mood going on here, but for some reason I can't keep my mouth shut up and not talk about how you can see the aliasing going on the low resolution artwork on the high resolution screen. Another problem that would not be a problem if you're playing this on a small screen on a portable. If I ever get another portable, one of the first things I should do is emulate Peace Walker. I need to figure it out. Maybe then I'll get it. I'll understand the appeal. Because you can tell that there's soul here. I'm just not in the right time, place, person, or setting. I need to get in the head of a Japanese child playing this on their PlayStation Portable in 2004. Wait, no, it would have been like 2010, right? That makes way more sense. I was way off. Anyways, yeah, he just mentioned something about Japan's constitution. This American CIA agent who has a lot of experience in Soviet Eastern European countries and decides to hide away in Costa Rica is immediately talking about some lines on the Japanese constitution for some reason, and I missed it.
As our deterrent.
Oh yeah, so I feel like not the fascination, but necessarily the
we can offer you
uneasy religious faith that this game posits in deterrence theory is something that probably makes way more sense from a Japanese kid's perspective than an American adult's perspective too.
We need someplace we can
Like the weirdness of Peace Walker makes a lot more sense when remembering that that's who you're supposed to be when playing this game. That's who you're supposed to be, and that's the age you're supposed to be.
You seem to think we're just a pack of dogs of war.
We're supposed to have headphones on, and we're supposed to be looking out the window every now and then at the ground scrolling by while you ride the train or ride the bus in your Japanese public transportation system.
If your suspicions are true, force isn't going to do any good. You'll have to find a police.
So if you glance away from the screen for a few seconds, it's fine. You didn't miss anything.
San Jose. Tell them if they want. I'll introduce them to a negotiator I know.
But maybe that style will pair well for streaming, where I'm going to be talking a lot, half focused on the screen anyway, and I'm going to be making use of a lot of the downtime that's in this game, but in a very weird way and in a different way, because they want you to put the portable game machine down and come back a day later.
She came to me to study peace.
Yeah, there's the metagame base management stuff I found absolutely horrendously boring to play on a console, on a couch, with my eyeballs on the screen. But if I can shoot the shit with chat... They're already so interested in Japanese stuff for the time and place and setting. And oh boy, speaking of weird Japanese stuff, Paz's character is, there's a lot to unpack there.
Upon that facility while searching for a lost friend. She was captured. She's only a child, 16 years old. They did terrible things to her, but somehow she managed to escape.
So you zoom in through the layers until you find... Where is it? Is there even anything to find?
She hates war.
I don't get it. Did I miss something? It just...
Anything to protect my namesake.
Anyways.
It is my one and only purpose.
I'm sure this would hit you a lot harder, right? If you were a child and you were wearing headphones and you saw that on a small screen in a potentially public location where there was an extra sort of unexpected tension or thrill to suddenly zooming in and that happens. But oh no, there's people around. On the big screen, as an adult, it just seems childish and weird. Whatever voyeuristic thrill we're supposed to be feeling, I'm not. But I think I kind of get the idea, at least. Also, that font choice looks weird, but maybe that also looks better on a small screen.
Miller here. Do you copy, Snake? I see you've landed. That makes one giant leap for us. I'm sending this from the offshore plant, our mother base. The signal is unidirectional. I'll be giving you commands and advice through this channel. Keep your headphones on at all times and pay attention. Also, make sure no one else can listen in. Snake, are you clear on the controls? Take a minute to refresh your memory. Use the left stick to move. Use the right stick to adjust your view. To change your setting, use the start button to open the menu. There's no one around. Why not try some shooting practice? Select the target and squeeze off round 2. Press the directional button while holding the R2 button to switch weapons. Ready your weapon with the L1 button, then press the R1 button to fire.
I forgot that this game had
How about a little shooting practice?
fully controllable, detailed third-person shoulder aiming on a small screen.
Select equipment by pressing
Oh, wait a second. I am remembering there was some kind of issue over exactly that in the right stick.
Grenades explode. You throw them, Snake. Use the L1 button to ready throwing weapons.
That sounded like a re-record.
Throw with the R1 button. When using throwing weapons, hold the attack button down longer to throw farther. You won't throw the weapon until you let go of the button.
I'm not getting the problems with the analog stick dead zone gating that I was getting with Metal Gear Solid 4.
Capable of rapid fire. The over-the-shoulder view allows you to aim with a high degree of precision. Body parts
Oh wow, nice bloom effect.
If you want to change the aim settings, take a look under Options.
Snake formation. Oh right, that's another thing. You needed to be a Japanese child with a commute. You also needed to have other Japanese children who were friends with you that would play this game with you. Otherwise, the boss design doesn't really make a lot of sense, and we'll get into that too.
Put enemies to sleep. The closer to the head you hit, the more effective it is.
But I am not paying money to play this game with total strangers over a decade after launch. Look at that generous auto-aim. Oh right, the MSF base is on solid ground right now. It's not in the middle of the ocean.
You're headed for is past that fence. A grenade should be able to take out that gate.
Oh, that'll get me in.
Good. You'll reach the objective when you clear the jungle. Head east.
I gotta say, for all the talk about how manually controllable cameras have less personality, the John Carpenter Stalker Cam in this game has a hell of a lot of personality for an over-the-shoulder aim camera. It's really funny seeing how steady that camera tries to hold a point when following behind. Like in The Simpsons.
Are they still here?
Come on, Snake. This could be good for us. They're willing to give us an offshore plant. A place we can finally put down some roots. This is our chance to expand MSF.
How come Kaz is the one really doing all the work? Big Boss is just playing Metal Gear games, but Kaz is the one, like, making phone calls and filling out the paperwork and stuff. He's getting so much more done. And he's getting so much done so fast.
We're not mercenaries. We're not a farm.
Also, they're wrong. Something about the inherent wrongness of these characters makes it really hard for me to take the story seriously from its premise.
It's not like we're trying to start a war here. All we need to do is find out who this security company really is.
Like, the characters' hearts are in just such a different place from the audience that it's hard to connect with them on any level this time compared to the other games.
The professor is likely KGB.
I see.
We'd be making an enemy of our homeland.
And there'd be no turning back.
God, this damn thing won't light.
Huh?
Put on some coffee, Kaz. It's time for a little chat with the professor.
Also, this artwork kicks so much ass. Whatever happened to her, to the artist? What was it? Ashley something or other?
When I got my
Did this turn out to be too expensive to keep doing?
me this prosthetic hand as well. But smoking was ruining my lungs, so I...
There's a motion comic version of the other games, and they're kind of funny. But the integration of that style into a real game here is...
code name the CIA made up. Then perhaps I should call you John.
Very well done.
I don't have a name. Stop using that code name you liked so much 10 years ago. What about you, comrade? What do they call you back at the center? Well then, allow me to get straight to the point. Land as slim as a whip, hot as torture.
That's the Chilean poet, Neruda.
Naruto?
Central America is the navel of the American continents, bridging north and south. We want this land. We'll build a socialist stronghold, then use it to split the Americas in two.
America would lose its backyard.
And with it, its economic production, shipping lanes, and strategic value. We, on the other hand, would gain a base from which all of Latin America would be well within our reach. He who controls Central America will win this Cold War. First comes Nicaragua, toppling the pro-American Somoza regime. In preparation, we've begun instigating anti-Somoza sentiment and providing aid to the Sandinista National
Is there some... Oh yeah, there is irony.
Sandinista into overthrowing Somoza.
There's a lot of irony, and now he's basically describing CIA stuff there.
A socialist state. You think America's just gonna let that happen? Certainly not. After all, the CIA is already...
And that's the armed group inside Costa Rica.
Precisely. It's clear that they've been sent in to disrupt our efforts across the border in Nicaragua.
Are there any modern games you'd like to see get an MSX-style demake?
The CIA capital.
You know, that kind of would actually really fit for Metal Gear Solid 4. Even as an official product released as like a spin-off game to promote some other bigger Metal Gear game, a full-length pixel art 16-bit MSX2 style retelling of Metal Gear Solid 4 would be a ton of fun, and also have something new to say, or at least some new feelings to feel, intersecting with the game's story themes of the franchise getting old and tired and played out, and
what about her?
And having a lot of cheesy nostalgic homages to the 8-bit games.
You mean her words about peace? She was captured, that much is true.
This is the first playthrough in a long time.
From her.
And you thought we'd fall for a sob story.
No.
Oh, they give you a fake out about Paz way early on in the game to keep your guard down for the fake out that happens at the very post-end true ending of the game, which I also have words to talk about, but I'm sure you've heard those words before.
Supposed to. Perhaps they heard something they shouldn't have.
A cassette tape?
Paz took this during her escape.
There's Sony product placement. Oh yeah, in Metal Gear Solid 4... No, Peace Walker onwards, Sony stereo cassette... Why are they so fascinated with Walkmans? Why is Kojima so... Like, why are Walkmans depicted as the absolute cornerstone of retro consumer technology?
What is that? A Quetzal?
The phoenix bird. Paz's friend was researching birds. She went out into the jungle to record bird calls and stumbled upon this.
So what?
Yeah, Under the Skin 13. I totally made a video on Peace Walker 10 years ago. You should go spend your time very wisely by trying to go find it.
You can't. The snake's too vicious. It's all many people. I chase it.
I need to shut up and try to enjoy this because there's interesting things happening in the story.
Voice print analysis confirms that this voice is indeed that of the legendary hero and criminal, the Boss.
The Boss.
The other hasn't been identified. Female in her 30s with a British accent. The song played.
There were video game computers that used cassettes. I don't remember a console.
What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your mentor?
Did the ColecoVision use cassette tapes? It was a very popular format for Commodore 64 games, and actually the piracy format of choice for gaming, PC gaming in the 80s.
Fought by your side. And that you killed her under orders from the CIA, thus surpassing her to become the
Okay, now one very strange question is that if you did play this game as the proper target audience, you would not have played Metal Gear Solid 3. You wouldn't have
Will you take the job?
Such an intimate connection and emotional connection with what he was just saying. So the way to enjoy Peace Walker properly is to not have the same kind of shared experience with Snake that he's having and hearing the voice, right?
Snake?
I'll do it for the girl.
There's also a sort of weirdness about the game universe acknowledging that Metal Gear Solid 3 ends with a tearjerker. Like, is that something that characters in fiction really acknowledge frequently enough? When...
There they are. CIA mercs. Snake, you've got to get past them undetected.
When hundreds and thousands of years happened after the advent of Homer's Iliad, whatever story explains what happened to Hector's wife afterwards doesn't seem to have survived as well as the story of the tearjerker scene of Hector telling his wife that the war's not going so well. Or wait, no, the tearjerker scene is that he tells his wife that the war's fine, but he knows it's not going well.
From that position, you can press the L1 button.
Now, can't I carry this?
It
Yes.
also works while lying down.
Wait, that's not a carry. Do I need to unequip to carry? Empty mag grenade, stun rod. Yeah, I thought we were set to equip, unequip. How do I equip nothing? Can I not move bodies in Peace Walker? No carrying dudes in this game. Wow. Okay. I guess we'll use Tranquilizer on the next guy. I really need to shut up and not talk all over all these important instructions. Hey. I can move the body that way?
The indicator in the upper right serves as a compass and shows sound sources. Pay attention to your surroundings.
Nice scurry. You got a good scurry in this game.
Make your way east. The percentage in the upper right is your camo index. The lower the number, the more easily you'll be spotted. Conspicuous movements and loud noises will compromise your camo index. Your fatigues will act as camouflage.
Oh, this is nice. Wait, is it nice? There's only 2 gradations of walking, and the second one is completely silent. That's very simple. I think that means there's less to think about when you're moving around in Peace Walker. Yeah, alright,
You'll be there. Head east.
They're inspired by Monster Hunter, and I just don't know if the Monster Hunter DNA is that compatible with Metal Gear Solid DNA. Ah, there's guys.
Looks like you're inside the compound. Security is tight. Stay sharp.
I'm inside the compound. How come he has to say something every 60 seconds? How come we're like more than 10 minutes in and we're getting opening credits now? How come I'm sneaking so fast? How come I'm not taking this very seriously? Should there be like music right now or something? You know, the credits are usually like there's usually really cool stuff happening. It feels like the credits should have happened in the rain when we were in the cabin or something.
Enemy attack! We're being shot at! Going to alert status!
Understood. Dispatching reinforcements.
Okay, where am I going?
Come in, HQ.
This is HQ.
This is Patrol. All clear.
Infiltrate the facility on the east side of the compound.
Oh my gosh, this is such an arcade game in comparison. That guy was patrolling that whole entire time and evidently did nothing. There's no music for you guys, right? It's not just me. There's no music, right? There was music during the caution phase, but no music for the title credits. It's so unceremonious.
Your objective is the building to the east.
Shush! I'm sneaking up on a guy. I'm walking past a guy. Shush.
Yes, sir, we broke him. We acquired the whereabouts of target 500.
Acknowledged.
I think that red dripping blood, at least in a heavy stylized comic book cutscene, meant that Kojima is allowed to get away with way more with the T rating than some other developers.
Cargo.
That was neat. That was cool. I seemed to know what to do quickly enough. DJ Kurosawa, what? Removing the snake voice. Snake speech from HD version? What's the snake speech they removed?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You found a radio.
It's got a circuit that reverses the audio phase.
Let's switch.
Oh, that snake custom voice thing kicks ass.
I found a map of their bases. The cargo's heading from the marshes west towards Irasu.
Nice going, boss.
Kaz, this place is full of film badges. Dozens of them.
Film badges? Like the ones used to measure radiation exposure?
The radio man was wearing one. And whoever he was talking to called the cargo spears.
Wait, that would mean...
Nukes. They're bringing nukes into Costa Rica.
Holy Mother of God.
It's weird. Like, it's a super solid intro, but it's just deflating how disappointingly simple and streamlined and basic and arcadey it's gonna be for the whole time through the story. What the intro doesn't convey is, I think, more weirdness I have a hard time squaring with the basic nature of where the Metal Gear Solid plot is gonna be going from this game onwards. Okay, we unlocked design specifications for smoke grenades.
It tells me where their bases are, but it's just a bunch of points. No routes. I need better intel on the lay of the land.
Snake, the professor said he's got the Sandinistas on his side. Said you should get in touch with the FSL and Commandante.
Do they know they're backed by the KGB?
As far as they know, they're really fighting for the revolution. The KGB is staying behind the scenes. I'm not sure the Sandinistas are aware of what's really going on.
Still can't believe anybody would bring nukes here.
Yeah, that's a shocker. Costa Rica's party to the Tlatelolco Treaty, which declares Latin America a nuke-free zone. Based on Japan's 3 non-nuclear...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Testing, use, import, or deployment of nuclear weapons. If word of this gets out, Opinol will be forced to act.
I love how everyone in Metal Gear Solid games never forgets their trivia. When it comes to their specialized trivia knowledge, they are so enthusiastic to talk your face off of that. Like, how is he buying the oil rig and organizing all the MSF logistics and stuff while still keeping this trivia about nuclear treaties across the entire world off of his head? Like if he's able to do Japan in a heartbeat like that, it sounds way weirder as a non-Japanese person than I think it would as a Japanese person.
Working as fast as we can, boss. This place is pretty mean. Looks like hell. But as long as you're with us, we'll make it heaven. No one can bother us here. No state telling us what to do. This is the MSF's haven, our mother base. And with this foothold, we'll back you up even better than before. We're gonna turn this pile of junk into something big.
But the thing is that they're basically gonna be founding a state of their own, right? And a pretty morally corrupted rogue state at that. I don't understand how the irony is not escaping these characters. It makes it hard for me to relate to them from the get-go. Yeah, right, okay, so we just heard, like, the totalitarian dictator of a rogue micronation say out loud and genuinely believe it. Oh, wait, no, we heard the, like, Grima worm tongue in his ear. What is Kaz supposed to be? The, like, second in command who's really actually doing all the hard work. We just heard the, the Musk to Big Boss's Trump, say as the voice. The irony basically is that he's speaking on behalf of a state, and he says, way out here in the middle of the ocean, there won't be any state to tell us and our thousands of people what to do, but they're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to tell people what to do. There are thousands of people who are gonna have to live out here. They need to be socially organized. Those people all have very militant proclivities by their nature. Some pretty harsh rules are gonna be put in place, if I recall more so from MGS5 than Peace Walker. But yeah, the irony going on here seems absolutely patronizing almost that the characters aren't aware of it. I need to shut up and organize Mother Base. You know what? If I hit no, will it still be there later? No, let's go back. Wait, is the tutorial gonna... No, the tutorial went away! Okay, help. Select... Oh, this is how it works. Okay. Okay, neat. I think I clicked on that too early, though. I should hit mission selector first and get tutorials for that stuff before the base management stuff. Okay, the one with the brackets where it says 10 is optional, right? Does a mission failure count as a death for the permadeath rules? I have 3 minutes, 30 seconds for triggering an alarm. I need a Fulton recovery system. Number of targets 1. This sounds like something that should be hard to fuck up, but I don't know if it's worth the risk because of the permadeath. Oh, that one should be fun. But getting a refresher on how Fultoning works is important. I just can't make any mistakes here. And I gotta do it within 3 minutes. Time penalty is 30 seconds for triggering an alert. That doesn't sound that bad, so I could afford like 3 or 4 of those.
The boss has infiltrated the area around the coastal supply facility and knocked out the soldier there. But we can't just leave him there to be found. I need you to get in there and capture the unconscious soldier using the Fulton recovery system. Do it quickly before he comes to.
Okay, realistically, the only thing that will kill you is bosses, even with nothing unlocked. That's what I'm a little worried about, though, that it might make the basic gameplay not interesting. So does the mission failure count as a game, as a death for the permadeath stuff?
Snake.
Also, is there a way to do this fast? Because this
This
was painful to sit through when I was doing it on Xbox 360. I mean, maybe now that I know what I'm in for, I know to just make a sandwich and eat my food while this stuff is going on, but...
Attach a balloon to the unconscious enemy or captured prisoner.
Right. I hook a wire to their waist, and on the other end of the wire, there's a
But it's like one of the most low-effort, talking heads, visual novel diary
And reel it up into its
depictions of that kind of dialogue in Metal Gear games so far.
installing the recovery hook on the
And
human.
one of the weirdest things is that despite there being less animation on the screen for this stuff than the other games, I remember them going on for even longer than the codecs in the other games go on for.
With a helicopter, isn't it simpler to land and pick up directly?
Listen, Snake. You're going to be calling for recoveries repeatedly.
Yeah, you're supposed to listen to these on a bus, on a train. You're supposed to be a Japanese child playing this on a portable gaming device.
That's what the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system is for.
I can imagine this kicking absolute ass and feeling like it's from 100 years in the future if you played it in that context. Yeah, this is definitely 100 years ahead of Pokemon, right? That's the frame of reference you're supposed to be working with.
Boss, you really need to get rid of this whole army mentality. We're not the Pentagon. We don't have billions of taxpayer dollars to play with. And besides...
Fine. Just pick a reason that makes sense.
Helicopters have quicker response time. Sounds strange, yeah, but it works great. I promise. You'll get used to it before long.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't know if I'm really interested in committing to a... Peace Walker playthrough unless it's on a portable machine, actually, because I don't like the idea of sitting in front of the screen and having to occupy myself with my smartphone or with a meal while the briefing tapes play. I do like the idea of rolling around in bed with headphones as they play, and getting it beamed directly into my ears while looking at something else with my face sounds somehow more manageable and palatable than having to keep my ears in range of the screen at all time. Now, what is the difference between data files and the stuff on top? Between two women.
Warheads detected by the dew line. 57. Number of MIRVs included. Minimum 29, maximum 35.
Should I have left this one for later? What's the proper order I'm supposed to go through these tapes with? Ground Zeroes was, and Metal Gear Solid 5 were doing this shit too.
Unknown.
It's like an attempt at how much information got buried into the codec screen before, but I'd almost rather... It feels like it would kill the magic of the codec to just pick which particular codec conversation you want out of a list.
Washington, D.C. is presumed destroyed. The president is most
I
likely...
need to quit whining.
The U.S. government's control lost.
I realize that. So why not retaliate?
With both sides destroyed, global anarchy would ensue. Recovery would be difficult. The United States' nuclear strike capability must therefore be neutralized in order to preserve the communist bloc, where government remains largely intact.
You could listen to tapes on your phone. That's kind of what you're supposed to do. Yeah, no, you're not supposed to... Before every single mission in Peace Walker, you're not supposed to stop and listen to tens of minutes of the briefing tapes. Like, it's not a good paced experience at all. Metal Gear Solid 5 doesn't work that way either. You're supposed to save this for the bus ride. Or whatever. You're supposed to save this for when you're shopping. Yes, yes! The way to play Peace Walker properly is you play through the 5-minute missions on your 10-15 minute bus ride, and you listen to the 15-minute briefing tapes on your 20-30 minute shopping trips using headphones. That's the way you're supposed to consume these, isn't it? I think that's the way. That is the way you're supposed to do it.
I fixed the roof.
Because I just clicked something in a menu. Look how I have no indication of how much time I just committed here. How long is this going to go on for? In the previous games, there's kind of sort of a, there is not an attention over whether or not I need to skip right now because this might be completely optional. When Peter Stillman is going on about the C4s, you know it's going to end soon. And you're not mashing the button out of it, and you're not regretting that you accidentally clicked the really long Peter Stillman cutscene. It's part of the main plot.
Kill me now. Why not?
I'm missing something really dramatic by complaining about it too much.
Loyalty. What are you loyal to? Country? Ideology? Feelings?
I am loyal to myself.
Who's there?
Who's that? Intruder!
This is all just backstory. Right. And that's the other thing. If you played through the previous games, so much of the backstory in Peace Walker feels redundant. Okay, Paz's tape between two women. Neither of those women were Paz. Paz's tape. Okay, so that's the tape she revealed to them in the cabin in the rain in the cutscene. Is any of this stuff worth it? I'm not looking forward to how long they'll take, because I don't have a chore to do. Well, you're supposed to listen to this stuff while chopping up vegetables for a casserole. It's like the soap opera. It's Metal Gear turned into a soap opera time waster distraction. That's a sort of similar way you're supposed to play the base building research and development stuff. This stream in this way, this is not the way I should be playing this. We gotta get out of that menu and save those for... this is the problem. From my perspective, from my point of view, I'm better off saving those for a YouTube smartphone. There is no way I can carry those into the kitchen and chop up my veggies for a casserole. Like, the TV's in the other room. I don't like this game, and it's a good game, and it is the favorite game of a lot of fans, but the only reason I don't like it is because I'm not playing it the right way, and I can't play it the right way because I'm locked out by hardware, and that just reminds me of bad things, and it feels bad. I don't know if I want to commit to Peace Walker like the other games. That was a lot of time for us just to get back to this menu about how Snake is still in that room from the cutscene with the knocked out guard he's gonna Fulton. Snake is not available. What? What? Wait, what? Character. Snake. Oh, I don't think I'll ever be using the love box, right? Wait, it might work. It says it might be able to fit 2 players. Okay, now what is this? Snake is not available on this mission. The description says Snake is right there. How do Peace Walker fans tolerate this very clear contradiction going on? Snake is not available for this mission. Snake has knocked out a radio soldier in the supply facility. Use the Fulton thing to get him out of there. Snake is not available. Some of these are taking place while Snake has knocked out. Oh! Oh! Combat. There's no one else I can pick, though. So, okay. Right. The fans in the chat know what's going on. Because I'm just basing this off of the language in the text right there. Okay, what do I do then? Do I save it for later and keep going on with this one like I... Oh, we spent all those minutes listening to the briefings. It says below, MSF soldiers only. But Snake is an MSF soldier. He's the MSF soldier. He's the king of the MSF soldiers. I don't know how he wouldn't count. Unless you were there to clarify. Okay. It seems like the less Kojima has an editor, the worse his writing gets, to the extent that conveying some of the more abstract concepts in English to the English audience in particular gets worse as the series goes on.
Our young lady friend Paz.
Is she okay?
No need to worry. She's tougher than you think.
Still just a kid.
Which is exactly why you need access to information. Besides, that little Angel de la Paz is the one who gave us this mission, right?
I guess.
I'll put her on.
Snake.
Paz, where are you?
Ciudad Colon. At school. The teacher told me to stay here until things quiet down.
Teacher? Oh, him. He's... Yeah, that's probably good advice.
See, he has a radio in his room, so we can talk anytime.
Pretty fancy for a teacher.
Promise me, Snake, that you'll bring back peace, and...
I know. I'll contact you if I find your friend.
Thank you. Snake, if you need to know about Costa Rica, the geography, the climate, the wildlife, anything.
Also, unlike last time, all that geography, climate, wildlife information is functionally useless in this game.
I have a question. I'll ask. What?
In school, I also learned that peace is an unnatural state for human society, and that war is a constant threat to our relationships with others.
That's right.
So, to achieve peace, we have to create it ourselves. Crying about it won't bring it about or make it last. Each one of us must go and seek it out.
You won't find it without making sacrifices.
Hey, Hannibal, Montana, one of my best friends in college specialized in Spanish translations, and he thought this was hilarious.
Sorry. Listen, Paz, I think your ideas are admirable, and I hope they turn out to be right.
Yeah, me too.
Peace is in your name. Who better to help bring it back?
Thanks, Snake. I will be here whenever you need me. See you later.
Snake, use your radio to call people, but stay alert. You're in the middle of a mission and can't afford to let your guard down.
Got it.
Need to know more about Costa Rica? Paz can help you out.
Good to know.
We'll follow their transport. This should take us straight to their main base.
From what I've seen, it looks like roads.
Agreed. The key thing now is to confirm whether those spears really are what
I can't hear it with my George ears, but he would always throw in the word main at the end of these characters' lines, and I'm not hearing it. They don't sound as... Whatever is so funny to actual Spanish speakers, I'm not hearing it. They don't exactly sound like Cheech and Chong to me.
Infiltrate that cabin.
They sound stereotypical, but not that bad.
Neutralize any guards by knocking them out, putting them to sleep, or even using the Fulton recovery system. You choose how to handle it, boss.
It is right, the Spanish gets hilariously mangled. I might be able to tell if it's mangled in the text, but I will not be able to tell if it's mangled in the audio. Oh, we definitely have to hit single. Okay, so someone, I think, mentioned that I can... main ops, extra ops, co-ops, cutscenes, regions. I like the look of this map in the background, but the 20 teens Japanese menu design is not aged gracefully. Okay, we're gonna return to Mother Base and see if we can assign... That's... yeah, like... Okay, when we're looking at that menu, we're supposed to be Big Boss shuffling through files in a file cabinet. He did not leave Mother Base to do that. R&D staff. Okay. Okay, now is the time to see the tutorial and assign staff to the combat unit so we can do the R&D. So we can do the Fulton extraction tutorial! Why is Peace Walker so unnecessarily complicated? The game's not nearly as complicated as all this... The graphs and the menus and the spreadsheets are gonna make it look. Oh, and the time it takes to develop those things is also another portable gaming thing. Look at the karaoke font at the top center of the screen. That's the karaoke font that you see on karaoke machines. Why? I'm not complaining, actually. This is one of the lesser intense Peace Walker complaints I have. I just want to know why they decided to go with karaoke font for the tutorial. Karaoke at the top. It's cute. I love it, actually. It's not a new kind of business, Miller. If Miller read literally any book, I don't understand how Miller's supposed to be the super duper genius. Yeah, his level of competency and genius is on... It's in a fictionalized place of admirable competency. And yet he seems completely unaware of the irony going on here that is painful for any player who, paid attention in history class. Okay, auto-assign. Oh, okay, we did it. Yeah, we can analyze people now. Or at least after we develop it with R&D. Okay, so now we go to R&D. Sure. And make sure that someone is working on a cardboard box while we do this tutorial mission. Oh, man. I've never enjoyed having to read tutorial help text from a ticker, either. Japanese UI design has always been really big on the tickers. Japanese UI... Japanese television. Why does Japan love tickers so much? There's some way to develop items at a faster pace, but I don't know what it is because I missed the first half of the scroll. Oh wow, that's quite a ways off. Oh wow, that cardboard box is not coming for a while. What am I looking at? J Fat, I guess? Jungle fatigues. Why can't they just say smoke grenade? What is an M1C? I'm curious. Oh wait, these aren't things I'm developing. Uniforms collected? Why are the pipes in my condo tower rattling? Find out on another exciting episode of Metal Gear Monday. View other types of materials. So these aren't research projects. Smoke grenade, M1C. Okay, let's see what the M1C is over here. Sniper rifle. My R&D needs to be a higher level. Okay. L1. Mission selector. How long has it been since we've played Metal Gear? How long has it been? The last one I did was the title credits, where I got partially spotted, right?
The boss has infiltrated the area around...
Okay, mission prep, character... We gotta pick one of these guys. Alligator is the best suited for the job, but that's a beginner's trap. You want to level up the people who are a few notches below them so everyone gets a shot. So we'll pick the guy who's in third place. It kind of looked like a lot of concrete in the cutscenes, so maybe we'll pick something that rates highly with concrete. Concrete, rock, and ruins. Okay, khaki. Jungle looks good for everything. That kind of looks like a slightly overpowering choice. Why would anyone pick red ever? Some of these choices confuse me. Maybe it'll make sense later. There's so many! We're just doing jungle fatigues. It might be a redundant system. Okay, we just have to Fulton people. This is a tutorial, right?
Use Fulton Recovery to bring back knocked out soldiers. To use Fulton Recovery on a soldier, get up next to them so the icon appears, and push the action button.
This reminds me of Win Back for the N64. I wonder if the team knew about Win Back. Yeah, let's wait till his back is turned and then give him the trank. Hey, he didn't shoot? Oh, the gun was down. It wasn't ready.
If you had something to stand on, you could probably reach that.
Is he talking about the love box? Do you climb on top of your partner and get... Oh my god. I have 30 minutes. Wait, do I have 3 minutes instead of 30 minutes? What were the rules? What were the rules? 3 minutes? What? Oh boy.
I know I saw something.
No, 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 no. No, no, wrong.
Room, huh? We'll keep it here at the base.
There we go, there we go. Oh boy.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
Are we good?
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Retrieve those soldiers while they're still unconscious. Looks like that soldier's out cold.
Oh my god! I thought it said stun. It totally... The word stun appeared when I knocked that guy out. The word stun appeared when I knocked that guy out, and it didn't actually knock... I didn't knock the guy out. I didn't really stun... I guess stunning doesn't count as unconsciousness, it's a different noun vocabulary thing. I also was not expecting to die in 3 shots. That's way different from how it works in the other games, and now I know. Well... Right, stun appeared because it was the damage type. Okay, time to start Metal Gear Rising. Next week. Next week it'll be time to start Metal Gear Rising. I got a lot going on. I gotta do taxes. I gotta do taxes and also not run out of money paying for a extremely suspicious $3,000 capital contribution fund that the condo tower Airbnb people want me to pay for some reason that is highly questionable and likely illegal. I also want to make some tacos, some delicious shrimp tacos that have been marinating in enchilada sauce all day. I also want to make rice-a-roni. I'm going to make some delicious rice-a-roni. That's going to be pretty neat, I guess. But next week we will play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and I bet I'll be way better at it. I'm disappointed. I was not expecting that to be nearly as punishing as it turned out to be, of the one mistake that I made. And I'm also feeling like if I'm playing as Snake, I'm allowed to take a lot more bullets than Elephant or whoever I was playing was taking. Let's listen to tapes while you do taxes. Okay, actually, good point. We can do that. We can listen to tapes, but we can't play more. We can listen to more, but we can't play more. And actually, I think I won't be chopping up veggies to make a casserole, but I will start cooking my taco meat in delicious enchilada sauce. Alright, but tapes. We're gonna play the game slightly closer to the way it was intended to, by leaving these tapes running while going in and out of the kitchen to do cooking chores. Return to Mother Base? Man, I don't know! Where did the tapes go? Extra ops, co-ops, cutscenes... Okay, because didn't I have to, like, pick a mission to get to them? Fulton recovery. Also, is that guy dead now? Rhinoceros? Is Rhinoceros permanently dead? Is there already permadeath? Wait, does that mean I'm okay? If that soldier I picked permanently dies, but we're allowed to try again by the default nature of the game logic, then maybe that means I didn't really fail the run. Okay, you choose a mission, then go to briefing. To listen to tapes, you gotta choose a mission. We will just go from top to bottom. There's no telling how long this will take. But I doubt it will feel worth sitting here on the couch looking at the screen. Maybe Peace Walker is better to play through in the age of the smartphone than before, because it does seem like it's designed to be, like, half distracted with. But anyways, Miller comes before Paz. Mother Base. Right, is not the first question I have here! That's another thing! If you actually go through the games in release order, you're gonna feel like you missed something. You missed Portable Ops. And even then, if you play Portable Ops, I don't know if you're gonna get the full understanding of some chapter that feels missing here. Big Boss is kind of a different character now. He is in denial about what he experienced himself in Metal Gear Solid 3. And it's hard to tell if there's a canon retcon going on or not. Mrs. Rhinoceros will receive his ashes. He's probably in sick bay. How did he get there? This is so abstract, and it feels incoherent. How did Rhinoceros get from the storage containers at the docks to the sick bay at Mother Base? Staff. I don't think we've unlocked the sick bay yet, so he doesn't. He might just be fine. He might just be fine because we haven't unlocked the sick bay. That's hilarious. That is hilarious game logic.
Snake, I rigged that radio so the boss has infiltrated.
Kaz. Kaz, what kind of shape is that plant the professor gave us in?
First time I laid eyes on it, I thought it was some kind of joke. It was a giant birdhouse, seagulls everywhere. We eventually scraped off most of the rust and bird crap. The underlying structure's intact. Little elbow grease, and we should be in business.
Who used to own it anyway? Whatever shape it's in now, somebody sank some serious money into building it.
From what I can tell, an American university built it as a research platform for ocean thermal energy conversion. The name's still on some of the rusty old power turbines. I'm guessing they must have had government and corporate assistance to build it too. But they couldn't solve the thermal efficiency problem, and the project was canceled. Then after the university abandoned it, a KGB front company scooped it up for next to nothing. At least that's my theory.
How'd the KGB manage to buy a plant built with American capital, front company or not?
Yeah, that professor is quite the operator. One other thing. The plant's set up so that it can join up with other plants of the same standard.
So, they were originally planning on expanding the place, huh?
Hey, let's give it a shot. We can get some more people together and build this place up into a proper home for MSF. You're with me on this, right, boss? Snake, you can use the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system to send prisoners and unconscious mercenaries you encounter back to Mother Base. I know you've used the Fulton before, but just to make sure I'm not missing anything, let's review the steps.
Okay.
First, attach a balloon to the unconscious enemy or captured prisoner.
Right. I hook a wire to their waist, and on the other end of the wire, there's a helium balloon.
Right. Then we'll send over a chopper to catch the floating balloon with its recovery hook and reel it up into its cargo hold.
And that's it?
And that's it. We finished installing the recovery hook on the Huey.
Wait, Kaz. Something doesn't make sense about this whole process.
This again.
Well, normally, Fulton recovery is for when you're using fixed-wing aircraft. With a helicopter, isn't it simpler to land and pick up directly?
Listen, Snake. You're going to be calling for recoveries repeatedly throughout your mission. We want to keep the risk of taking enemy fire to a minimum. The best way to get that done is to do the recovery in a high-speed flyby. That's what the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system is for.
Uh-huh. What's the real reason?
Helicopters are cheaper, and the repair bills will start adding up once the bullets start flying.
I thought so. Kaz, I know we need to keep costs down, but...
Boss, you really need to get rid of this whole army mentality. We're not the Pentagon. We don't have billions of taxpayer dollars to play with. And besides...
Fine. Just pick a reason that makes sense.
Helicopters have quicker response time. Sounds strange, yeah, but it works great. I promise. You'll get used to it before long.
Yeah, I hope so.
Remember why we created MSF, Snake. To provide military force to whoever needs it, wherever they are, regardless of nation or ideology. Our beliefs aren't all that lofty.
We just won't be the tools of any one country.
Exactly. We know only how to fight. But we refuse to live our lives at the whim of the state. The MSF seal is patterned after Pangaea, the supercontinent from 250 million years ago. Back then, the whole world was one landmass. One world. No gaps, no rifts.
Our strength will take us back there.
about you, Kaz? Any interest in expanding MSF?
You'd better believe it. I want to make us into an organization that doesn't take orders from any country. Just like you were saying, we have to be strong. Strong enough to defend ourselves. We need money, too. Money to train soldiers to fight. The way I see it, we make MSF into something along the lines of a new kind of business. A contractor providing the full range of military services. Not just combat, but logistics, training, weapons, outfitting, and R&D. Combining the small footprint and exceptional performance of special forces with the raw military might of a full regular army. Only with that kind of power can we break free of nation-states. What I need from you, boss, is to go out and find guys we can bring back here using Fulton Recovery. Then tell us what assignment to use them for. I'll take care of the rest. Your old mentor, the boss. She was known in the West as the mother of special forces, right?
Nothing but propaganda.
Actually, it's not all that far from the truth. I heard the KGB just set up a counter-sabotage cell. Alpha Group, I think they call it. There's even a rumor that West Germany created a counter-terrorist unit within its border police after the debacle at the Munich Olympics. Back home in the States, they've got the illustrious Green Berets, the SEALs, and your personal creation, Foxhound. The seeds sown by the boss are beginning to sprout. Same goes for MSF, right? In creating it, you were carrying on the will of the boss.
Yeah. She taught me how to fight the hard way. She beat it into me.
And now, thanks to her, we can take on missions other than just conventional combat. After all, we've got the same mother as the Army's Special Forces. Still can't believe Professor Galvez was KGB.
Well, like the professor said, Moscow's hell-bent on communizing Latin America.
Yeah, the Cuban intel services are all in the KGB's pocket. You don't think he's got some kind of ulterior motive?
If the CIA is up to something, it's only natural that the KGB wants to know about it. But I doubt they're showing us their full hand.
We'd better watch our backs.
What do you think, Kaz? Why did Paz come all the way to Colombia herself?
It's a long trip to make just to be Exhibit A in Galvez's sales pitch. She's only 16, still a kid. Maybe we should take her wish for peace at face value.
What do you think, Kaz? Why did Paz come all the way to Colombia herself?
It's a long trip to make just to be Exhibit A in Galvez's sales pitch. She's only 16, still a kid. Maybe we should take her wish for peace at face value. Costa Rica isn't alone. All of Latin America is getting swept up in the superpowers' Cold War. The whole ideological split between East and West. In the end, it's just a greedy scramble for wealth by the ruling classes. The Western bourgeois stand to lose everything if their countries go communist. After all, the communists want to abolish private property altogether. So the capitalist rulers desperately tried to halt the global spread of communism. Hence the phenomenon of red baiting. And the communists, for their part, didn't exactly stay true to their principles. They tried to escape class-based society. But between Stalin's autocracy and the rise of the nomenclatura, they ended up creating one anyway. Once people have power, they stop caring about equality. That's where communism, where society in general reaches its limits. The rulers only care about their own gain. The opposing side becomes a risk factor that threatens the profit, and thus the ongoing struggle between capitalism and communism was born.
And now, nuclear deterrence is part of the picture.
Exactly. They say nuclear weapons are the reason we haven't seen conflict on a global scale since World War II. The thought that your opponent might launch nukes against you sort of makes it tough to start an armed conflict, especially now that they've got intercontinental ballistic missiles. Nowhere is safe.
Of course, all that has caused military expenditures to skyrocket.
Well, the only way to ward off a preemptive strike is to flaunt your own nuclear stockpile, and that's caused their numbers to increase exponentially. Not just with regards to destructive power, but in terms of targeting technology too. Now they can hit a target halfway across the world with pinpoint accuracy. In a way, the space race was a demonstration of that technological progress.
And as a result of all that, we now have mutually assured destruction.
It's the ultimate form of deterrence. No one's going to launch their nukes knowing they'll be obliterated in return.
I don't know. The chance of somebody hitting the button by mistake is never zero.
You're right. Even with peace guaranteed by MAD, there's always the risk of an accident.
Nobody wants the world to end on account of some machines malfunctioning.
On the other hand, thanks to deterrence, we haven't had a world war since 1945. You gotta admit, it has been pretty peaceful.
Not that it matters to us.
People point at the nuclear arms and space races and call it a Cold War. I say if they're not shooting at each other, why not call it world peace?
Doesn't mean war is gone. Look at Korea. Look at Vietnam.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking in relative terms here. Besides, if war died out completely, we'd be SOL.
We're not warmongers.
And yet, we can't survive in a world that's at peace.
You got a point.
So it's been more than 10 years since the Cuban Missile Crisis, huh?
I don't think we'll ever forget it.
No kidding. Those 13 days starting October 15th, 1962, were probably the closest we ever came to all-out nuclear war. The Russians deployed nuclear missiles to Cuba. America responded with a naval blockade. Then Russia shot down an American spy plane. I was still a teenager back then, but I remember what it felt like to be one step away from nuclear war. The adults were freaking out.
If it wasn't for the Cuban Missile Crisis, there might never have been an Operation Snake Eater. And...
What's the matter, Snake? It's not like you to get all hypothetical.
I guess not. It was the reassessment after the missile crisis that paved the way for the hotline between Moscow and Washington, and also for détente. That's irony for you.
The Treaty of Tlatelolco was enacted to make Latin America into a nuclear-free zone. It bans the testing, use, manufacture, production, acquisition, storage, and deployment of nuclear weapons. The impetus was pretty obvious. The series of crises triggered by the deployment of nukes in Cuba.
Not hard to imagine. Those 13 days had the whole world frozen in fear.
Of course, the country that started it all, Cuba, hasn't actually ratified it yet.
Still, the treaty's backed by over 20 countries. Anyone flouting it risks becoming an international pariah.
True. Opinol would investigate, no doubt. I heard they used Japan's 3 non-nuclear principles as their model when they drew up the treaty. I think the Treaty of Tlatelolco might have been their way of asking nuclear powers not to use nukes against them. That's the biggest difference between the treaty and the 3 principles. I guess you could call it a 4th principle.
So Costa Rica abolished its army back in, 1949? Pretty gutsy move for a Central American nation at the time.
Yeah, well, they'd just come out of a civil war. I'm sure they were driven by a desire to avoid another tragedy like Paz said. But I think they had a more compelling reason. Army coup d'etat are a way of life in so many Latin American countries. Imagine seeing that up close.
No army, no coup. Makes sense.
Plus, their economy was in ruins. So they honestly didn't have any money to spend on an army anyway.
Yeah, but weren't they on less than friendly terms with Nicaragua?
Yeah, and in fact, Nicaragua did end up invading. But the Civil Guard fought back and the OAS brokered a ceasefire. The US and the rest of the OAS had their back, and they used it to full advantage. For a quarter century, they survived in the powder keg of Central America. That must have taken some serious diplomacy. Even if the Civil Guard is pretty decked out for a police force.
Must be tough to be a country without an army.
Hey, Snake, mind if I ask you something?
Since when did you start asking permission?
So, you used to be part of a CIA paramilitary unit, right?
That's right.
Ever do any ops in Central America?
No, not personally. But there were other units who did all kinds of stuff.
I remember the Bay of Pigs invasion back in '61. The papers had a field day with it.
Operation Zapata. That was the CIA code name. The whole thing went south.
Then there was Che Guevara, being hunted down in Bolivia. I heard the CIA had a hand in that too.
There were several units similar to mine. MSP, SOG. They'd recruit former special forces, train them as intelligence agents, and send them on deniable covert paramilitary operations. One of those units trained the Bolivian army in counter-guerrilla tactics.
And then had them shoot El Che.
So the story goes.
Around here they say La CIA instead of CIA, huh?
Nothing strange about it. That's how it's pronounced when you read it in Spanish.
It has the feminine noun ending a, so they use the article la. Apparently some people have taken to using the term UCLA.
That's a new one to me. What's it mean?
It stands for Unilaterally Controlled Latino Assets.
Meaning they're local agents?
Yeah, that's the idea. Washington uses them like pawns. Nobody knows who they really are or what they're doing.
You were saying Japan has a peace constitution too.
Yep. Japan renounced war in Article 9 of its constitution, aspiring sincerely to an international peace based on justice and order. The Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation, and the threat or use of force as a means of settling international disputes. In order to accomplish the aim of the preceding paragraph, land, sea, and air forces, as well as other war potential, will never be maintained. The right of belligerency of the state will not be recognized.
You know it by heart.
Some things you never forget.
Impressive. There were some parts I didn't quite get, though. Like the whole means of settling conflicts thing.
Yeah, that's been the subject of debate. Whether or not it forbids any and all use of force. The current Constitution was originally drawn up under the Allied occupation. The first draft was even submitted by Allied GHQ. So naturally, there are some who feel the Constitution was imposed on Japan by foreigners.
Things like that are never simple. Same for every country, I guess.
One thing's for sure, though. Not having an army let Japan focus on economic recovery after the war. In that sense, it's the same as Costa Rica.
Kaz, you were in the Japanese Self-Defense Force, right? I thought that Article 9 you were talking about earlier prevented Japan from having an army.
Yeah, and that's another subject of controversy. The Self-Defense Force is an organization for the purpose of defense. Article 9 of the Constitution does not deny Japan's right to self-defense. Therefore, the SDF is constitutional. That's Tokyo's official stance.
Sounds complicated.
Call it what you will. It's a distinctly Japanese way of interpreting things.
The U.S. has military forces stationed in Japan, right?
Right. Even though the Allied occupation ended, American forces are still stationed there under the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty.
Unlike Costa Rica.
Part of it stems from the occupation, but Japan also occupies a key strategic position from America's perspective. It's next door to the Soviet Union and close to China and North Korea as well. It's integral to the security of Pacific Asia. For America, Japan represents a barrier against communism.
What about for Japan?
As you might expect, there's deep-rooted opposition to the alliance. In 1960 and 1970, when the treaty was up for revision, there were mass protest movements against it, especially in Okinawa. The U.S. only gave it back to Japan 2 years ago, and American bases are still concentrated there. It's a heavy burden for the Okinawans to bear.
Then why don't they scrap the treaty?
Lots of reasons. There's the imbalance of power with the U.S., of course, and if Japan pulled out, they'd be losing the nuclear umbrella America provides. And as for whether the JSDF could defend the country after the Americans left, I really couldn't say. Costa Rica is in a similar situation. They depend on the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, the so-called Rio Pact.
So, the countries with peace constitutions end up having to rely on other countries' armies. Kind of ironic.
On the flip side, not everybody in America is satisfied with it either. Some people argue Japan is freeloading off America's security guarantee. And you know how Japan's industrial exports are making inroads in the States.
Yeah, I've got a Japanese camera myself. Best damn camera around.
Japan's low defense spending allows it to invest more in economic recovery and expand its share of the American market. That's a bitter pill for Americans to swallow. You know that today, Japan is under the American nuclear umbrella.
Right.
The U.S. vowed to retaliate against any country that launches a nuclear strike against an allied country. That promise deters nuclear attacks against America's allies, hence the term nuclear umbrella. But suppose the Russians nuke Tokyo. Would America really nuke Moscow in return? If they did, the Soviet Union would undoubtedly retaliate. Would Washington really be willing to risk having a bomb dropped on itself in order to avenge Japan? I'm not so sure.
Don't tell me you're still worried about Japan. After all these years?
It's not that.
To be honest, I'm not convinced either. But Moscow faces the same dilemma. Maybe Washington wouldn't retaliate on Japan's behalf. Then again, maybe it would.
So you're saying Moscow wouldn't want to risk being attacked either?
The whole concept of nuclear deterrence is entirely hypothetical to begin with. When you get down to it, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Japan shall not possess, manufacture, or allow the introduction of nuclear weapons into Japan. Those are the 3 non-nuclear principles set forth by the Japanese government.
Allow the introduction? That's funny. Some of the U.S. warships that visit Japanese ports are armed with nukes. Or are you going to tell me they transfer them at sea onto other ships every time they visit?
You raise a good point, Snake. But the Japanese government doesn't recognize it as such. The introduction of nuclear weapons into Japanese territory would need to be agreed upon in advance. America hasn't made any such agreements. Therefore, they aren't bringing nukes into Japan. That's the official excuse.
Doesn't sound like much of an excuse to me.
I don't blame you. Keep in mind, though, Japan suffered actual nuclear attacks. Anti-nuke sentiment there runs deeper than you think. I suppose the government's not really in a position to admit that sort of thing.
So tell me, Kaz, how's the self-defense force you were in different from an army?
The JSDF is set up for national defense. It's not configured for aggression against other countries. It's what you'd call exclusive defense.
Exclusive defense?
It's the fundamental strategic posture of the JSDF. No preemptive attacks. Only the minimum defensive action necessary after an enemy attacks.
Anything defined as self-defense, then?
The JSDF originated as the National Police Reserve. Back then, American forces stationed in Japan were being sent over to fight in the Korean War. So in a sense, the NPR was filling a gap.
Police, huh? Reminds me of the Costa Rican Civil Guard.
Yeah, exactly. They're also dispatched to provide disaster relief. The year before I joined, they had a hell of a time trying to rescue some buses that got hit by landslides.
So why'd you quit the JSDF?
Because I didn't have a reason to be in Japan anymore.
A reason?
My mom had died 3 years earlier, so I didn't have to care for her anymore. With her gone, there was no point hanging around in Japan.
Yeah, but a man with your talents could have risen pretty high in the ranks, I imagine.
Oh my god, he's totally a Kojima
It
insert.
alienated me from the brass. And personally, I could never get used to the idea of exclusive defense.
Meaning?
How much did you miss?
I can see how a country could go with the exclusive defense model used by the JSDF. And I've got nothing against my fellow soldiers who believe in it. On a tactical level, though, it just rubbed me the wrong way. To put it simply, I was itching for a real fight.
I figured.
And I felt as long as I was in the JSDF, I'd never be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with my father, who was in the U.S. Army. Seeing Yukio Mishima's suicide didn't help either.
Yukio Mishima. The guy who wrote The Temple of the Golden Pavilion.
The way he questioned the status quo hit home with me. Not that I admired his vision or anything, but it did get me thinking, that's for sure.
I'm going to be chopping bacon into small bacon pieces. This is a very bad way to do this, by the way. Please don't do this. This is very bad.
Don't forget to give the MSF staff assignments. Where you place people will determine how Mother Base grows.
Right.
That goes for me too. Assign me wherever you think is best.
You? I thought you were second in command.
Don't worry, I've got that
Hey.
covered. But MSF
No,
is
Eddie.
still small.
No bacon.
I don't have the leisure of sitting around on my butt all day.
I see your point, but...
Not to brag or anything, but I kick ass at whatever job you gave me. Put me in the area you want to focus on developing most. I'll take real good care of the staff there.
Easy, cuz.
Was that an implication? What? Why? What? What are we supposed to read from that line?
Life's funny sometimes, isn't it?
What brought that on?
We first met as enemies on the battlefield. And now here we are, fighting side by side.
You mean Columbia?
Yeah. After I quit the JSDF. I made my way there and got myself a position as a drill sergeant for a band of revolutionaries. Despite the fact that I'd never seen a day of combat.
I see you had the gift for talking business in Spanish even back then.
Oh, come on, stop it. You're making me blush. Unlucky for me, though, you were in the service.
They love each other.
I remember it like it was
That's
yesterday.
the sound of love.
It happened in an instant. You guys ambushed us, and half my unit was taken out. My mind went totally blank. I couldn't keep it together. My whole unit was wiped out, and I was left half dead from a bomb blast.
Then, as I was leaving...
Many more will follow.
I came all the way from Japan to be here. My place is on the battlefield. Then you asked for my help, saying, I want to be the one to end it. I remember...
No, it was my normal speaking voice. This is how I usually talk.
I had a grenade hidden under me, but even then you were too fast. The second I pulled the pin, you grabbed the hand I was using to hold the grenade with both palms.
I didn't want it to go
They're
off.
describing an action scene that was probably
One of them would stoop
not as
so
cool
low
as they're making it sound.
with him.
And I said, I'll never lose again. We'll never lose again.
Yeah. We'll do whatever it takes, but we'll never be beaten again.
Then, I passed out from the blood loss. When I woke up, I was in your camp's infirmary, stuck full of tubes. Why'd you save me? Your enemy after I tried to kill you.
Because you swallowed your pride and fought with everything you had.
I just didn't want to lose.
You found a way to fight back, even in the face of death, even when you knew you were going to die. That's the mark of a true warrior. It's not about gain and loss, or victory and defeat. I looked at the way you lived your life and saw the path I needed to take. As a warrior.
Wow. I never knew that. And that's why you...
I realized then that the battlefield doesn't only divide people into allies and enemies. Sometimes it tells you more than just who's an ally or who's an enemy. Sometimes it helps reveal your true comrades.
Like you and me, huh?
That's right. And 2 years later, here we are.
Tell me about the fundamentals of stealth.
You probably heard this a million times, Snake, but you should always avoid combat with the enemy when possible.
Right.
We're outnumbered and in unfamiliar territory. We won't survive long in a straight fight.
Wait, no, Eddie didn't snatch the bacon. What do you...
Avoiding combat is rule number one in a sneaking mission.
That's right. Don't let the enemy know where you are, and attack only when necessary, using hit-and-run tactics to cripple them. It's the essence of guerrilla
Eddie's a good boy. He did not snatch the bacon.
Can I ask you a favor, Snake?
If you ask nicely.
To make MSF bigger...
They love each other.
Some recruiting.
Yeah. What's your point?
I want you to avoid killing enemy soldiers as much as possible, and send them back using Fulton recovery. Not much we can do with a corpse except give it a funeral.
Obviously.
Put him to sleep, knock him out, hold him up even. And if you do have to fight, try to leave them near death instead of dead.
And then use the Fulton recovery system. Sounds easy enough.
You know what'd be really nice, though? If we had a way to Fulton recover anybody at any time. Don't carry any more gear than you need. If you try and stuff your entire arsenal into your backpack, it'll be too heavy and your mobility will be...
Oh my god, he's worse than
hurting
paramedic.
yourself.
I know. Take only what you need. Every rookie knows that.
You can check the weight of your gear before heading out. So make sure you do.
Got it.
Why did that need a tape? That could have been a pop-up or something more efficient.
Even a born warrior like you gets hand tremors, Snake. It happens even when you're full of stamina, and it only gets worse when you're tired, especially with larger, heavier weapons. Obviously, you'll get better aim crouching than you will standing. And when you use a scope, setting your sights on a single point will gradually give you a more precise aim. As we develop better weapons at Mother Base, though, you may gain access to new, low-tremor versions of the same guns. So if you expect the shakes to be a problem, you might want to put some resources into R&D.
I'll keep it in mind. Then again, the more you use a weapon, the more your hands get used to it. Sometimes it pays to be faithful to your gun.
Okay, I think I've pretty much done all the prep work for those tacos that I might reasonably do for now. When I get back to them, it's just going to be a matter of cooking the meat for 10 minutes and then assembling them all together. All the veggies have been chopped up. There's going to be shrimp, there's going to be bacon, there's going to be sausage, and the shrimp has been marinating in enchilada sauce all day.
Choosing the right uniform is crucial. Pick one that matches the mission objective and your own combat
Choosing the right moment to cook a marinated meat is crucial. I wanted to make sure to listen through as many tapes of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker as possible before cooking this marinated meat, to give the meat more time to soak in the flavor.
Jungle fatigues are made for jungle combat.
Why is this a tape?
Decent protection and let you carry a fair number of weapons. Your standard uniform, basically. The distinguishing factor is that your camo index will vary a lot, depending on the area. Wear a pattern.
Why did he say it like that?
With your surroundings, and your camo index goes up. Wear something that clashes, and you'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Pick the right pattern for the occasion. Siggett used to lecture me.
I'm sorry, Hannibal Montana, we're not breaking the main rule. This is Snake, yeah. This is Snake having Rhinoceros's final moments where so many life memories flash before his eyes in the instant where he gets gunned down in the tutorial mission.
Naked. That's exactly what you are with this uniform. The pants are the same as the jungle fatigues. Obviously, since you're exposing your bare skin, your defense and camo index are gonna be low. On the plus side, it's so light you can move around quicker.
I don't think we're gonna meet Amanda this
Showing
run.
off muscles, too.
Hey, Snake. I heard you gave you your old code name because you used to run around with your shirt off. Is that true?
Don't believe everything you hear. They called me naked because I went in without gear or food. I had to procure everything on site.
You mean they sent you into the jungle without even a pair of pants? On a halo jump from 35,000 feet? Sweet Jesus, you are a legend.
You're busting my balls, aren't you, Kaz?
Little bit, yeah.
Hilarious.
But they're gonna want to own into that, right? And make mythology out of how cool Metal Gear Solid 3 was, right? How cool of a video game Metal Gear Solid 3 is the in-universe justification behind the legend of Big Boss. Now we're gonna learn about a feature we're never going to use. Are we really? We're gonna skip the co-ops.
Hey, about cardboard boxes. It feels kind of weird me explaining this stuff to you. But
That sounded like a sound effect, not voice acting.
So just to be safe, here goes.
Go on.
You can do much more with the box than just hide under it. You can put it someplace and leave it there.
Huh?
You can get on top of it and use it to reach high places.
Oh, so that wasn't co-op
I
thing.
like what I'm hearing so far.
And that's not all. You can even put items in it and send them to co-op's teammates.
Really? I never thought of any of that. Damn. Is there anything a cardboard box can't do? Every soldier should have one.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited. This isn't exactly what they were made for.
Which reminds me, don't you think the boxes around here are a little on the big side?
You're right.
Oh, they're gonna do it.
Fit under one box, if they packed in tight enough. They call them love boxes.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Of course, you don't need a love box to fit 2 people inside. Any box of similar size will do.
It sounded like there was a slightly long 2 men in a box, a slightly long comedic pause at the end of that recording.
Up to 2 people can fit inside a cardboard box.
Tell me how.
Move the box with the teammate inside, and an icon will appear. Then press the action button. You'll stay inside as long as the action button is pressed.
So, same as snake formation, huh?
Exactly the same. In fact, when you put on a cardboard box, when snake in, both of you can climb inside.
What was that? That grammar? When you put on a cardboard box with snake in, press the action button. Eddie, press action button to snake in cardboard box.
Snake,
oh, buddy.
About that cassette player Galvez was carrying.
Right, that is the most excited I've heard Snake.
It was the real deal. A prototype developed by a Japanese...
Wait, why? Hannibal, Montana.
It's true.
Okay, if you wanna, you gotta pick.
The product name is Walkman.
We're having a Death Stranding relay moment here. We're connecting across time and space over a little bit of something that I'm gonna leave for you to pick up after me. Because I guess I got you in the mood for Peace Walker, and I guess you really want to see what happens when Snake meets Amanda, even though we all already know.
Clearly superior to any other cassette ever made. Stylish too.
Okay, how are you beating up Peace Walker on your PC, Roller 42? What's your method? Are you emulating PS3 or Xenia? How's that work these days? Because I should probably hear it out. Oh my God, they're doing an actual Walkman commercial.
I'd hear you say that.
Because I'm not interested in replaying Peace Walker right now. I'm sorry, this is rough. Like that whole thing where I was going in and out of the kitchen making tacos. Like that's rough. I don't want to abandon the game like that.
I'm having the guys at
I don't think I want to replay this unless it's actually in portable format. I want to roll around in bed listening to this. I want to have it in headphones in the kitchen, or I want to set this inside a metal bowl in the kitchen to make it louder while I chop bacon and sausage and assemble salads. Okay, we're gonna do some Paz tapes. These should be a little more interesting and abstract, right? And there's less of them.
Is it true that Columbus was the one who came up with the name?
Your guess is as good as mine, but it is true.
Oh yeah, there's also PPSSPP. I forgot. I keep forgetting that this is an actual PlayStation Portable game, and that's the environment where it only really makes sense to be playing it in.
There's no way they could find that much gold in Costa Rica.
Columbus originally set sail in search of the legendary land of gold. Maybe he was just nuts about this.
What's Eddie's Foxhound code name? It probably should be Foxhound, because I think Jack Russell Terriers technically count as a subtype or something of Foxhounds. They're not technically hounds, but they're very close. Also, I just missed that. I've been looking at chat instead of reading the subtitles.
In Costa Rica before anywhere else in Central America. Sure, dictators and all, but never a total meltdown. That is, until 26 years ago.
The Civil War. Yeah. I understand you lost your grandparents.
It started with a dispute over alleged fraud in the presidential election. What I do not understand is why friend turned against friend, when they could have talked it out instead.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Even today, some buildings still have bullet holes.
Did you notice the weight behind that delivery, that line delivery?
And it is a tragedy we Ticos cannot forget, must not forget. It was the year after the Civil War that the army was constitutionally abolished.
Okay, just make sure that when you play this game with your girlfriend, you're rolling around in bed with it on a portable machine.
He seems to be distancing
If you're on a
himself
couch
from
with
the
it on a
United
screen,
He
that
is
you have to
limited
walk
to
in and out of the
privileged
kitchen when you're
American
doing your chores to listen to
Related
the
to
tape, I don't
sanctions
recommend it as
Our
a
last president was
harmonious
so-called
domestic relationship building
West. He was in bed with
activity.
the CIA.
You think the CIA's doing this because it feels threatened by the president's shift in policy?
It is possible, but would they really?
Reverend Drac Russell bred them for fox hunting and vermin control!
Thanks, Snake. Peace.
You would have seen Snake heroically recruit a child soldier by now. Oh, we get to learn about coffee?
Are you a student at the University for Peace, Paz?
Hey, Eddie
No,
boy.
I am still in high school. But Professor Galvez lets me visit his office and study with him every now and then. International law, security, conflict resolution, human rights. We study all these subjects and then use them to build the foundations of peace.
Yeah, I get it. I just never heard the UN had a University for Peace before.
Oh, that. Well, to be precise,
It makes
it is
sense.
still being set up.
There's
We
some
have
nice
started conducting
alliteration to
research,
it.
But the UN has not passed the necessary resolution yet. Professor Galvez couldn't wait that long.
Oh, right.
Costa Rica abolished its army and has also hosted the Central American Court of Justice. It is the perfect place to build a university like ours. Don't you think?
The coffee one ought to be good.
That coffee you guys brought us is pretty damn good.
Isn't it? Costa Rican coffee is the best. The Central Basin has all the right conditions for growing coffee. It is high in elevation, with steady temperatures and well-drained volcanic soils.
The professor certainly seems attached to it.
The coffee we drank on the boat coming over was awful. It put him in such a terrible mood.
Well, how come I never hear about Costa Rican coffee then?
Because it gets bought up by wholesalers and mixed with beans from other countries. It is really a shame. Such wonderful beans and nobody knows they're from Costa Rica.
They should launch an ad campaign or something.
Right. I hope one day people will recognize Costa Rican coffee for what it is.
I'm with you there. Paz, you said Costa Rica has no army, right?
Correct. Article 12 of the Constitution declared that the Army as a permanent institution is abolished. It does permit us to organize armed forces for national defense based on inter-American treaties.
Only temporarily, then.
In effect, yes. But in the years since the Constitution took effect, Costa Rica has not once raised an army.
Paz, how does your country defend itself without
Some
an
of
army?
these are really short
in a rough neighborhood
to
like
account for how your bus ride or grocery store shopping trip could use an unexpected 30 or 60 second break to think about which brand of candy you want to buy,
Doesn't that leave you
or
depending on the U.S. after all?
make sure you don't miss your stop.
It is true.
This is not the way you're supposed to consume this content at all.
But America supported us all the same.
I feel like it's
Practice peaceful diplomacy.
a travesty. It's offensive.
That's one way to approach
I
it,
feel like
sure.
Miyazaki in
There are
that
countries out there who use
behind-the-scenes
force no matter how bad it
documentary
looks.
where he's looking at the procedurally generated animation and feeling like it's just a gory, disgusting travesty
Not
of...
like we expect peace without working.
Like, there's soul here. There's, supposedly some good stuff, but
Causes of misfortune and nip them in the bud.
I'm not really gonna be able to get it
Thinking that got me trapped in their
in
base.
in an elegant, organic way like
I'm not
this.
blaming you. You haven't done anything wrong.
The army was abolished 25 years ago, the year after the Civil War. I learned about the sorrow of civil war from a very young age. The futility of countrymen fighting.
Is it any different from, say, reading lore books in Elder Scrolls or Pillars of Eternity?
That's why it abolished its army.
Yes, because you can read those words faster than you have to wait for the voice actors to deliver their lines.
Education is essential. No
I would
question.
say it's different being in a fish out of the water. We're not in the right situation. You're supposed to have this on headphones.
I suppose we had to pick one or the other.
Reading the lore books in Pillars of Eternity and Elder Scrolls is at least the way it's intended to be experienced, although I don't know how they account for the eye strain that you can develop doing that.
That is right.
But yeah, no, reading with eyeballs is faster than the voice acting stuff. I don't know why gamers are so insistent on voice acting in general,
Japan's
but
constitution renounces war itself.
yeah, it would take objectively less time. There is probably a higher word count for all of these tapes than in at least the real Berenzia from Morrowind, all series. Okay, the amount of total word count of all the books in Morrowind is probably roughly comparable, I'd want to say, to all the tapes in Peace Walker. However, it would objectively, mathematically, I guarantee you in no universe would it not, take a lot longer to listen to that through voice acting rather than read it with your eyeballs.
Perpetual Peace. Kant argued that it is precisely because peace is unnatural that we have to make it ourselves.
How?
That is what his book is about. Is the concept starting to sound interesting?
Also, they're saying this when the book is only like 12 or 13 years old.
My grandparents died in the Civil War.
It's not exactly relegated into the realm of prescient foresight and wisdom that I think
Not like I want to hurt innocent
we regard, or at least a few of us regard it with now.
A country needs the strength to defend itself. Otherwise it faces invasion, oppression, political subjugation.
If they would simply stop using force to tangle with each other, countries would not need force to defend themselves.
And how would you guarantee that?
Sorry,
but you have to understand how the world works.
We'll let you just read a transcript. Oh, that's good.
Say ideals aren't important too. They are.
Kids do enough reading at school. That's why we need headphones and a portable. Because kids don't do enough walking around with voice actors talking about nuclear deterrence in their ears.
Costa Rica's forests are more diverse than you might expect.
Morrowind's books are 3 times longer than all these codex. I don't know. When you have them all scrolled out on the page on the wiki in front of you, they don't look as big as they look when you're in the game and you're scrolling through them one page at a time.
There are basically 3 types of forests.
It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. The ones in Starfield are hilariously short for how philosophically ambitious they get.
Tropical dry forests.
133,000 words versus 6 hours of spoken word. Okay, I believe my 90-minute video was 16,000 words. So comparing 16 to 133 versus 6 hours, okay, it might edge out slightly higher on Morrowind's favor, but they're not really that different. And Morrowind has a reputation for being dense and verbose, and Kojima does as well, but ultimately it's still faster to read with your eyeballs than listen with voice actors.
Costa Rica is said to have about 87,000 species of living things. That is about 5% of all the known species in the world.
A tiny place like this? Huh. I'll be damned.
I want to protect that biological diversity. When diversity is lost, the environment weakens. Just look at the plantations.
I think I know what you mean. It's like trying to assemble a unit from similar guys. It usually doesn't work out. Throw a few square pegs in there and everything falls into place.
There are so many species here that a lot of them have not even been classified yet. I am hoping I can help do that someday. Kind of like a parataxonomist.
Say that again?
Parataxonomist. Someone who helps a taxonomist.
Oh. Huh. I thought you were going to say it had something to do with parachutes.
You're weird. The Development Corporation of Costa Rica, or CODESA, was established 2 years ago.
Okay, the game can be played on your phone with PlayStation Portable Emulator. There's no way in hell my phone's going to be able to run that.
So to speak.
I also don't think I like the idea of having to go through the headache of syncing up a controller to that situation. At some point, I'm gonna buy a new handheld emulation machine, and around the time I do, the hardware is probably going to be of a generation capable of playing PP, SSPP, or however it's spelled. And I'll be able to give Peace Walker a much more fairer shake then, because even now I'm talking through these tapes like you're not supposed to be doing.
She said it was.
There's no way the last time I played Peace Walker that I ever would have been able to consume these things properly, going doing chores or going on a commute while listening to them.
I remember. Your grandparents.
Yes. They died in the
Yeah, this is...
I think that is why my mother hates
This is rough. This is more intensely lengthy than the codex in the previous game. And the fact that they're buried away in a menu gives me, at least as a reviewer critic type person, a hell of a lot of pressure to listen through all of these things, no matter how boring they can get. One, the lore text in Death Stranding is at least faster to read through than this stuff.
Here, you try it, Snake. Peace.
No thanks, it doesn't suit me.
Too bad for you.
You know, the V in the peace sign comes from the V in victory. When did it start standing for peace?
I am not completely sure, but I guess...
George, my phone can play Switch games. How old is yours? I bought it less than a year ago, but was surprised to find out that the cheapest phones that you buy this year are worse than the cheapest phones you would have bought 5 years ago. There's enshittification going on, and I've never bought anything more than the than the cheapest phones.
Not alone.
But,
I've been living in school dormitories since I started junior high. After my mother died, my relatives took me in, but
nowadays everything's just worse. Everything's so much worse, including the cheapest, shittiest smartphones.
But I know how difficult it must have been to suddenly have a
One thing that really grinded my gears, I can't believe the world's gotten to this point, is that the cheapest smartphone at the smartphone store did not have an image gallery app pre-installed on it. I have to use a freeware one from the Google Play Store that plays ads. The image gallery. Like pressing a button on your phone that brings up a folder list of photos you've taken with that phone is something that will play you an ad for Temu. Costa Rican coast, that's a bit redundant.
Playa del Alba means beach of dawn. The morning...
Wait, no, we gotta hear that one again, because even I can hear that.
Playa del Alba means beach of dawn.
You can like hear her head tilting around, like Playa del Alba, like she was asking, how am I supposed to say that in the middle of the session, but they just went with one of the mistakes.
Paradise on Earth.
Mistakes. A mistake.
Mangrove forests protect the small fish in the area. Sea turtles come to lay their eggs on these beaches. We are not the only ones who enjoy this place. It is heaven for more than just humans. Bosque del Alba means Forest of Dawn. Naturally, it is situated...
Okay, I think there also
It is your standard tropical
might be some confusion over whether or not this was a PlayStation Portable game or a PlayStation Vita game. Because if it's a PlayStation Portable game, then maybe we have a smartphone lying around. I don't know if my current smartphone will be able to play it. My current smartphone is slower than my 5-year-older smartphone. I keep that one around because I still am making use of it in ways that my new smartphone cannot do.
Port of Dawn. They have perfect...
My old smartphone plays chess better than my new smartphone. That's the level of enshittification we're working with here.
What is it?
I'm sorry. You'll have to ask Professor Galvez the rest.
It's okay. You've been through a lot.
I am sorry. I just cannot.
You did great, Paz. I won't let your efforts go wasted.
PSP game through and through. And you can tell because, oh, those pixels would look so much better on a smaller screen too. You can tell because I taught through all of those. You're supposed to be doing something with your life while those play, not sit in a chair and waste your time while those play. And they go on for so much longer than the codex, and they're not immediately relevant to the story like the codex are. Some of the longer codex still feel shorter to sit through than those do. I did, like, most of the prep work for a delicious taco dinner while, half of those were playing. Probably more than half. I think I was letting them play, what are we at now, 10:30? They probably played for about an hour. There was probably about an hour of that just now. George, so help me, I will send you a phone. Okay, but cross your fingers that it doesn't get stolen by the garbage people who work at the building. I 100%ed it to Bloody Solo 2. It's backwards compatible with the Vita, though, so I think there was some kind of debate over how you really weren't playing it properly even then. Even then, you weren't playing Peace Walker properly unless it was on a Vita because you'd get a frame rate boost or a resolution boost or something. I think the most important thing, though, was a right analog stick. I'm wondering if I'm getting my Metal Gear Solid portable games mixed up, because there was a similar debate going on with the 3DS version of Metal Gear Solid 3, because you weren't really playing that one properly without a Circle Pad Pro accessory for your 3DS. Or, if you're like me and a patient gamer, you buy a new 3DS at the very end of the 3DS's life cycle when they have become old 3DS's, and get your aiming stick that way. MGO and Peace Walker ran at 20 FPS on PSP, right. There might have been some debate over getting a higher frame rate with Vita then, because 20... in the N64 PlayStation 1 days, people tolerated 20. I feel like I could tolerate it now, but... Oh, small screen! Small screen, small screen! Those 20 frames do not look like 20 frames per second on a small screen. The smaller the screen is, there is a lot of advantage to gain, actually, the more and more I think about it, by gaming on a small screen over a big screen. The Nintendo 3DS, the whole premise, that the 3DS stuff, the 3D hologram, it's not really the depth, the illusion of depth that the screen can have is something that you cannot do on a higher screen. The physics don't work out or something. Peace Walker is like one of the prime examples of how different of an experience portable gaming can be over console gaming. Because I don't quite know how much I enjoyed that, but I can still tell, like, from the sheer production values, that there's something going on here that I'm missing out on, and I'm missing out big time by not getting it. You're meant to play it in small bursts. The codex, you're meant to listen to that as background noise for some mindless chores or commuting. The lack of crawling, the low frame rate, the visual design of that game, the cutscenes, all of that stuff's gonna look way cooler on a small screen than on a big screen. The low frame rate was a freaking nightmare to witness on a bigger screen. But yeah, I'm gonna call the stream here. Disappointing early turn of events in one of the easier Metal Gear Solid games. There's probably a lot of fans who thought I'd be playing this one for multiple days and not just 1 hour. We didn't even get to some of the most fun cutscenes, and the way I died was relatively unexpected and feels cheap, and it might be because there's just so much visual feedback happening now when you deal damage in these Metal Gear games nowadays. When you shoot someone with a tranquilizer, a little pixelated blue pixel art impact icon appears. In this case, the words, text on a screen, gave me a misleading interpretation for the 2 seconds of split-second reaction time it takes for that to get you a death in a video game. It said stun, and I thought that meant that he would lie on the ground for seconds, perhaps even minutes, with stars above his head. But that's not what that means. And I now know that's not what that means. It's the kind of learning experience you would just retry and move on without really thinking about that much, but with this permadeath going on, it leaves a very interesting psychological association feeling I'll have with Peace Walker. I was not much of a fan of Peace Walker before. Now I think I regard Peace Walker with a certain mood of melancholy sadness. It's a game I'm going to be regarding with a lot of lost potential. There's something to enjoy there, something that might actually legitimately kick absolute ass in the right circumstances. But it's a reminder that those circumstances are locked out away from me for a very long time until I get a more expensive, fancier portable emulation machine. And my god, is that so very low on the list of priorities, which is really the thing to feel good about right now. Because also, I still have to play more games on that thing. I still have more turn-based strategy games where you don't have to worry about frame rates at all. And rolling around in bed and looking away from the screen can beautifully pace out the turn-by-turn pacing of the game. Yeah, Peace Walker is something I'll give another look at some point later in my life. I am now at least more interested than I was before. I am now looking forward to having a more powerful handheld machine and playing this game on it and having that motivate the purchase in a way that did not exist before. I never really thought about Peace Walker much before, but now I know for sure that it's a game that I'm going to hate if I have to play it as a theatrical sit-down experience. And it's a game that I'm very, very curious about loving instead as a roll around in bed and play it on a portable experience. That sounds like a lot of fun. This, on the other hand, though, does not sound like a lot of fun. Maybe one last question before I pull the plug here would be, for those of you who did really enjoy this game and get it and understand it on a level that I've not been able to reach, even though I played through the whole thing, I did make it all the way through this, but I was not having fun that whole entire way, and it makes you question the merits of being a gamer. Were you playing it on a portable machine or on a living room TV? What version of it? What was your playing environment? Because that really does change things. That changes a lot. It changes a ton. It's worth knowing. You picked a guy with very little health. I didn't even notice. I didn't know. Mistakes were made, and when you're playing on permadeath, you can't really make mistakes. First time was on a PSP. Yeah, look at this! Look at all these PSP votes! Hope we'll live for it to get ported elsewhere. Oh, that's fine. You can probably emulate it in a really fun way right now. You just need the right machine and to go through some headaches. And I'm willing to go through some headaches when I got money and time for that. I first got it for PS3, but then I put it on my Vita and transfarred. Oh, this is the second question. Why do they spell transfarring like that with an A instead of an E? Oh yeah! I was 15 years old and trying to get into serious games, so it hit at the perfect time for me. Right? That's probably... This was made for Japanese 15-year-olds through and through. If you're 15 years old and playing it on a portable machine, you're more than halfway there. But if you're Japanese and 15 and playing it on a portable machine, that's how you have the time of your life and have a big, sweet, delicious dose of dopamine and adrenaline when playing this. I played it on the bus/train to see my Costa Rican/Russian girlfriend. You're going far away. I am. I'm gonna head out and get back to finishing my delicious taco dinner. Thank you all for hanging out and putting up with watching this. Unfortunately, I've gotten word that this was still satisfying to watch, but I do wonder. For those who know Metal Gear, and those who think I know Metal Gear, I wonder if this was as interesting to watch as Pit the Penguin at least thought so. It's Taco Monday. It's not Metal Gear Tuesday. It's Taco Monday.